Alex Shurikat presents my very emotional parody audiobook, Steamgelion! Roles played by Соня Иванов, Синзи Икари,
Marina Kalina,
Misato Katsuragi, Rimaka Gage, Ritsuko Akagi, Commander Ivanov, Gendo Ikari, Raya Enama, Rei Ayanami,
Hanka Litvinenko,
Asuka Langley,
Ali Katzman,
Aida Kensuke, Tuля Suzuhara, Todzi Suzuhara,
Roma Kazi,
Ryuji Kazi. First season, 12 episodes. The hour has come, and now we are talking about the local supercomputer consisting of 3 blocks: the Bresh Desire, the Leninhor, and the Stalner. Those blocks occupied huge premises in Vendegunga. Each block was given as much space as a large school gym. But they were still considered small-sized, as they were designed and built by the special order of the Communist Party and under its strict guidance. The I/O devices of these blocks were brought to the same command center from where the battles were usually directed, only they were located on another wall, which we did not pay attention to yet. So, there were 3 wall panels on each of which had 10,000 light bulbs, and all of these light bulbs of course shimmered, blinked and winked. As an output device, there was a printer that periodically issued information on a paper type by puncturing it. In other words, it wrote with holes. The Communist Party decided that it was more reliable and that there was no need to spend money on original cartridges. Today was such a day when the radio computers again went haywire, and Kometagevich and Third Engineer were scouring the de-energized hole in which the Leninhor was located. Third Engineer, one by one, put forward countless computing cells and made some measurements with the help of the device, saying the result of the measurements aloud. Kometagevich followed and compared the measured values with the tabular ones according to the big book. 238 breakdown for the entire period of operation. Third Engineer exclaimed suddenly and pushed out another cell. Nothing. Kometagevich reassured. We see that the General Design Bureau has long been over 300, although their supercomputer was built even a little later than ours. Third Engineer took the multimeter and deftly made 6 measurements. 1.5, 1.5, 14, 1.5, 1.5, 20. It is serviceable, Kometagevich concluded. You are very good at it. I just had a great teacher, Third Engineer said, blushing and pushing the cell back. As he pulled out the next one and was about to show off his measurement dexterity again, Kometagevich put the book down and said, Wait a minute, my friend, this is a dual cell. I'll be here a little faster. Taking the device, she poked 20 times in different places with probes in 5 seconds and nodded, saying, Well, we found it. At the 6th pentat we are not burned out. Fumbling in her pockets, she pulled out some kind of radio tube and looked at its type, handed it to Third Engineer. Here, just the one we need. Replace. Half an hour later, the Leninhor started working again. Kometagevich looked at all 30,000 light bulbs and said, Excellent. When Comet Kalina entered the command center, she was suspiciously happy. Going up to Kometagevich, Comet Kalina said,
quickly you. A needle woman is a needle woman.
At that moment, a glass caught Comet Kalina's eye, filled to the middle with something. Kommentarina moved towards the glass but even shuddered at the remark of Kommentarevich, who continued to look at the Lenin Hero's panel. This glass is just water. Let's start the new control prototype test. A highly secret and highly underground elevator lowered Sanya, Anka and Raya to somewhere even deeper than usual. Behind the open elevator doors, they saw a long and bright corridor, on the walls of which hung a whole gallery of various portraits of Karl Marx.
So, when is the down hand?
Anka asked and straightened her uniform, clinking a medal.
I'm tired of going through your purifications.
From the speakers on the wall of the corridor came the voice of Kommentarevich.
We're done! You are left with the last stage of purification from anti-communist foes. You must go along this corridor and sing the anthem of the Soviet Union in unison. Don't worry, we'll turn off the microphones. You can start, the microphones are off.
Anka grimaced and said,
And what the hell was all this for the new control test?
Looking out into the corridor, Anka loudly added,
The history of the party is an idiotic discipline. Comrade Agevich has striped panties. Comrade Lenin is bald.
Anka, Sanya said dumbfounded. Why are you saying all this? Anka turned and said,
How did you not hear, Sashko? I checked. And look, we did not lie. And we don't hear us. Well, Anka, you are something.
Raya chuckled. Anka clapped her hands.
Okay, Heis. So, are you ready to sing?
We are, Sanya said.
We are.
Raya assented.
In what case, go ahead. Let's sing.
And the three pilots walked briskly along the corridor, singing clearly and harmoniously.
The indestructible union of free republics has been ruled by great Russia. Live the united mighty Soviet Union, created by the will of the peoples.
Having passed through the door at the end of the corridor with the song, they found themselves in a semi-dark hall with an inconspicuous gate on the right wall. Against the other wall were 3 metal lockers for clothes, and against the far wall were 3 robots covered with cables, which were very similar to the Soyuzes, but were small, slightly taller than the pilots themselves. The pilots stared at these models impressed, and Kommentarievich's voice spoke again.
Comrades pilots, in front of you new model bodies. They are exact copies of your Soyuzes. In general, this is something from the technologies of the near future. There are very high hopes for the current experiment, so try your best.
Some fuss was heard, and then Kommentarina said,
Yes, guys, you try. Climb inside, there are hatches on top. But, by the way, because there's very little space inside, you will have to take off all your clothes.
What?
roared all 3 pilots. Comrade Kalina laughed and said,
I was joking. It's not necessary to take off your underwear.
Sanya once again looked around the hall and was indignant.
What kind of perversion is this? Why do we have to undress in the same room?
Well, imagine as if you came to a river to swim. So, you're such shy.
I see. You definitely would not be shy. Heading for the door, Sanya said to Anka and Raya. Girls, you will be the first. Call me, I'll wait.
Our Sanya is so novel.
Comet Kalina grinned. Going back out into the corridor, Sanya slammed the door shut and leaned back against it. After a while, the dialogue between Anka and Raya reached Sanya's ears.
Anka, can you stop rubbing against me? There's a lot of free space here. Raya, why are you so touchy? We are girls, aren't we? Exactly, Anka. You and I are girls. And what if a boy rubbed against you? Would you object?
Hearing this, Sanya became alarmed. Raya said,
Anka, stop fooling around. Get on your model. Wait a minute. Can I touch you here? You have your own. Touch it. Well, you are so tight. But yours is bigger.
Over the loudspeaker came Comet Kalina's cough and her cry.
Steamgelion, what are you doing there?
Anka is studying my braids.
Raya reported.
I hope you didn't think anything else.
In the end, all three ended up in these terribly cramped model bodies. Being in the command center, Comet Agevich read the printout from the supercomputer and pressing the intercom button said, "Okay guys, let's get started. First engineer, apply voltage to the model bodies." There was a characteristic buzz, and the pilots suddenly felt that their suits had become much lighter. "Wow!" said Anka, moving hands of her model body. "I became light as a fairer!" "Yes, it's interesting," Sanya confirmed and raising his hand to the viewing slot. "Interesting," Raya said, pretending to unpack ice cream.
Very well.
Comet Agevich continued.
Now, walk around a bit. Just don't break the cables.
The models came off their attachment points and began to walk carefully.
Try to sit down.
The models sat down. Then, Comet Kalina's chuckle and her phrase were heard over the intercom.
Now stand upside down. Kalina, sharp!
Comet Agevich barked.
What kind of gushing fun do you have? Are you going on a date with Roma?
A moment of silence followed, and further, Comet Agevich spoke again.
So, comrades pilots, we begin the main stage of testing. Small, punch rust in the chest plate.
What? Sanya was indignant. Why should I beat her?
Because we need results, sir.
I refuse.
Oh, well, when Galio you hit small.
Anka replied. Ha! No way! We are comrades with him.
Well, imagine as if he was peeping on you in the bathroom.
Anka turned to Sanya and asked with resentment.
Sashko, were you peeping that evening or what? I have not been peeping on anyone.
He cried.
Sashko, confess! Peeping, right? And you call yourself a comrade in arms? I have not peeping on you. Aunt Marina, why are you silent? You didn't let anyone peep. Huh? Sashko, so you wanted to, but you are not allowed? You are a scoundrel!
Anka menacingly moved to Sanya and from the bottom of her heart hit him with her fist. He could hardly resist and quite by accident, succumbing to his fighting instinct, kicked her on the knee.
Why did you hit me?
Anka got angry.
There was no order to do it!
Raya interjected unexpectedly.
You are the one to blame, Anka. Don't listen to all sorts of nonsense. Nonsense? He didn't peep on you, Rust! Or maybe you dream about it!
Raya went to Anka and asked displeasedly.
What?
Just stop! Sanya cried and tried to stand between the girls, but got a hit from both. In short, friendly comrades were not slow to start a fight, and in this heap of cables and metal, it became completely unclear who was hitting whom. Oh, such amazing results! Comet Agevich sat fascinated, looking through the tape, penetrated by the supercomputer, which came out of it like a tape from a machine gun. Wonderful!
Wonderful. You are stupid fool.
Comet Kalina said.
We're breaking everything now. I know it's sweet.
Comrade Kalina straightened to some hatch in the wall of the command center and flung open the hatch. Behind the hatch was the hall where the hand-to-hand combat was now thundering, but this hatch was located almost at the very ceiling. Comet Kalina looked down at the cruel battle and barked. Stop it! Stop fighting! This lively voice instantly acted, and the bunch of cables and metal smoothly turned back into three model bodies, which began to look around.
Aunt Marina!
Anka said, looking for Comet Kalina with her eyes.
Are you here or what? I'm always here.
She proclaimed and hastily closed the hatch, which to be honest was secret. Showing her fist to Comet Agevich, Comet Kalina nodded to her, allowing her to continue. Well, Comet Agevich said, slightly upset. Now hold still for a minute. Perhaps you're surprised that Komitonov has not uttered a word all this time. The whole point was that he was bored in various kinds of experiments and now unwittingly dozed off at his desk. Perhaps he was dreaming of childhood, or maybe youth, or maybe even something erotic, but in any case, his pleasant dreams were suddenly interrupted by a drop of water falling on his nose. He was indignant, opening his eyes and sharply straightening up. Feeling another drop fall on his head, Komitonov looked up and proclaimed, "There's a leak on the ceiling! What does it mean?" Komitonov looked up from reading the printouts and looked up at the ceiling. "Komitonov," she said hesitantly, "you know what when der Grunker's cold water supply budget was reduced by 40%, and we had to install ordinary steel pipes instead of stainless steel. Apparently the time has come when we began to leak. That's all we needed." Komitonov muttered angrily and said into the phone, "Immediately send a team of locksmiths to the sector. To the sector?" Komitonov covered the microphone with his hand. "Comrade Karina, what is the sector above us?"
In my opinion, Sector 2211.
She answered, also looking at the leak. "To the sector 2211." Komitonov finished his order and put his cap under the drops. And Comrade Karina suddenly pointed her finger to another place on the ceiling and she said worriedly,
Look, it's leaking over too.
Comrade Ivanov assessed the threat and said, "Comrade Argevich, put a pail in there." But Comrade Argevich did not have time to fulfill the order, as Comrade Karina reported on a new danger.
Watching another leak,
said Comrade Karina.
Over there, right above instrument panels.
Comrade Ivanov jumped to his feet. Immediately install a cellophane barrier.
Where can I get it?
Cover it with yourself for now, I'll bring it. Comrade Ivanov grabbed the keys to the warehouse and rushed to the exit from the command center, and Comrade Karina bravely climbed onto the instrument panels and lay down there, exposing herself to the jobs that were detrimental to electrical engineering. But as soon as she did this, another leak caught her eye.
Rima,
exclaimed Comrade Karina.
It started to leak above you.
What kind of punishment is this? Yelled Comrade Argevich and darted around, looking for some kind of container. Finding nothing, she ran to the intercom. Engineers! Grab all our pails and get to the command center right now! Then Comrade Ivanov rushed in with a piece of cellophane. The command center was already filled with pails, like a forest clearing with mushrooms after a mushroom rain. Having covered the panels, all those present began to anxiously watch the ceiling, from which almost jets were already flowing. Where are those damn locksmiths? Comrade Ivanov barked and grabbed the phone again. Hello, we already have a real flood. Where are the locksmiths? What? Are you saying there are no pipelines in the sector indicated by us? He glared at Comrade Karina, who was diligently looking at the ceiling. Damn it! A leak over the command center! We don't have another one! Minor mistake with the sector! Redirect the locksmiths! Hung up, Comrade Ivanov wanted to scold Comrade Karina for incorrect target designation, but then second engineer started up. The level in the pail number 4 is critical! Comrade Ivanov pulled out an empty pail from somewhere behind his chair and placed it on the table and said, "Take the pail for my personal reserve! Comrade Karina, empty the fourth pail!" Comrade Karina was indignant and exclaimed,
Why do you force a woman to carry pails?
Because the nearest man's toilet is under repair. What else can you suggest in this situation? As soon as Comrade Karina returned with the empty pail, she had to take out the next pail, and then the next one, and the next one. The ceiling water stopped flowing only after Comrade Karina announced over the intercom what one more pail and she would go to shoot the locksmiths. Victory. Comrade Ivanov breathed, wearily sinking into his chair.
But at what cost?
Comrade Karina muttered, looking at her pants. Attention! Third engineer suddenly turned and pointed with his finger at one of the panels of the supercomputer, some of the bulbs of which stopped burning. Crash on the processor! Did water get in there too? Kontagiewicz cried out, clutching her head. Adjusting the experiment! Rushing to the output device, that is to the local printer, she read through its printout and exclaimed, "The voltage applied to the model bodies is growing! We must immediately turn them off!" Third engineer grabbed an axe, but Kontagiewicz splashed his face with the water that Comet Kalina was aiming at. "What did you want to do?" Kontagiewicz barked. "Turn off the knife switch in the third compartment!" At this time, Anka, Sanya and Raya, who continued to stand still and did not even know about the commotion in the command center, felt something was wrong.
Girls, did you hear it?
Sanya asked.
In my opinion, something has begun to grow buzzing. I do,
Raya replied.
In addition, it starts to smell like burnt wires.
Anka sniffed the air and said,
I also got such a smell. Maybe these are the details of the experiment. Hello!
Sanya shouted, not knowing that the intercom was accidentally damaged by the locksmiths during the repair of the water supply system. Then they cursed because they forgot to take an important branch.
Andrima, how long must we stand like stumps? What's going on at all?
Of course, there was no answer. And then Rai suddenly swung and hit Sanya on the head.
What are you doing, Rust?
He was surprised.
It's not me,
Rai said, almost frightened.
It's itself. My model is self-moves.
At this moment, Anka's model body got on all fours and began to crawl in this form on the floor, depicting a dog.
What the hell?
Anka was indignant.
How, Dreamer? Is this your idea when I will tell everyone about your striped panties?
In the control center, after reading another batch of holes from the supercomputer, Kontagiewicz cried out.
The bodies move on their own!
Rushing to the intercom, she shouted into the microphone.
Turn it off right now!
And at that moment, Kontagiewicz noticed that the intercom was not working.
Damn it!
She shouted, pressing the button several times.
It's also not working!
Here, Komitonov stood up and ordered, "Take emergency action!" Kontagiewicz glanced at the boss and sighed. Then she pressed the button labeled Emergency Actions. In the hall, where the model bodies had already begun spontaneously to dance, the inconspicuous gate opened, and a whole gang of ordinary repairmen ran out of it. The repairmen quickly beat through the power cables of all three model bodies with bolt cutters. The bodies immediately collapsed exhaustedly, and the repairman pulled the pilots out. When Sanya was pulling out, he caught on something with his underpants and left his model body without them.
The little elephant!
Anka giggled and Raya blushed terribly.
What kind of bullying is this?
Sanya was indignant and hid behind one of the repairmen. Then Anka realized that she herself was not in the most decent form and barked at the repairman, staring at her and Raya.
Turn away, you pedophiles!
Meanwhile, the panic in the control center continued. The British Air's lights went out one by one. The phone rang. Speaking, answered Komitonov. After listening to a short message, Komitonov hung up and exclaimed, "The accounting department recommends immediately fixing the supercomputer. We count our paycheck."
Damn it!
Kontagiewicz exclaimed, continuing to read the halls.
The root extraction unit is out of order!
What's nothing? Komitonov replied.
The function of mathematical subtraction is broken!
Don't care.
Oh no! Multiplication and addition are dead too!
Damn! This is really a problem. At that moment, Comet Kalina, who due to her lack of technical knowledge was only watching, suddenly roared.
What are you whining about? Do something! I should have a big bonus this month!
Kontagiewicz seemed to come to her senses and, tearing herself away from the printer, grabbed a folder with electrical schemes and unfolded about 10 at once, began to examine them. Third engineer added new fuel to the fire. The Bersesar squanders the supply voltage of the Lenin here! Comet Agevich threw one scheme aside and ordered, switch it to the backup power source! Electricians are working on the emergency reserve now. The Lenin here passed out. The Staliner is starting to fail. Comet Agevich glanced at the last 10,000 light bulbs and, having begun feverishly study the schemes, assured, I know his failure! Now I'll find where it is! Comrade Kalina, already as if feeling money flowing out of her purse, shouted,
Rima-chan, hurry up, please!
Oh, how you speak now! Comrade Agevich responded, having already scattered the schemes throughout the control center. Here it is! 505th cell on the first level! Third engineer, follow me! And Comet Agevich, third engineer, and worried about her money, what's about the bright communist future, Comet Kalina rushed to the Staliner's machine room. Bursting into it, all three jumped to the cell number 505. Comet Agevich opened its door and a rat gnawing at the wires appeared in front of them. The fur of the animal stood on, and obviously from a recent acquaintance with high voltage. What a cursed creature! Comet Agevich roared, and baring her teeth in obvious intention to eat the rat personally, she pulled her hands to the rat. The rat was frightened by this brutalized woman and rushed to the exit. Comet Agevich pulled out 2 screwdrivers and rushed after the rat, shouting furiously, Catch it!
Let me shoot this damn rat!
Comrade Kalina volunteered, throwing up the submachine gun. No! You fool! You'll beat all of radio tubes! Fleeing from the pursuers, the rat led them through the entire room and jumped out into the corridor. Then the rat slipped into the command center and rushed straight at Comrade Ivanov. No! Shouted Comrade Ivanov and jumped on the table. A rat! Kill it! The pursuers also broke into the center and began to rush around it, trampling on the scattered schemes. Preparing to use the bat for its intended purpose, Katerina barked.
Yanish, get down and hold the door so that the rat can't run back!
No! He answered, watching the running rat with wide eyes. But finally the rat was cornered. The end. Comet Agevich exhaled brutally, drooling. My lunch is good. And then the rat shrunk into a ball and doomedly covered its head with its paws. And everyone felt sorry for the rat.
Listen,
Comet Kalina said,
maybe we won't kill the rat. It is our rat. The Soviet rat.
It's true. Confirmed third engineer. We can give the rat to Sue. Or to pioneers in a club, Comet Agevich said, already completely cooled down. Comet Kalina looked at Comet Ivanov, who was still on the table, and sarcastically suggested,
Hey, maybe you should not move the rat away so far.
What do you allow yourself? Comet Ivanov inquired, not quite decisively. And then the phone on his desk rang again, and he takes the call. Ivanov speaking. Is this accounting? So, how are you? Silently listening to the end, Comet Ivanov slowly put down the phone and slid down into the chair. Then, looking at the interested glances of his subordinates, he exhaled. All 30 kilobytes of the salary database are lost. Comet Agevich, Comet Kalina, and third engineer instantly changed their faces and slowly turned to look at the rat. But the rat was not found in the corner.
Mercy is the wise.
Comet Kalina concluded, clutching her submachine gun. That's right. Oh, Marina. Comet Agevich confirmed, rubbing one screwdriver against another one. To be continued.